I'm Aubree Adams. I'm a national advocate against the legalization of marijuana. Everybody knows that. I have a very small following. Most of my following are pro-marijuana people. They're very interested in what I have to say. I have my husband on the phone right now. I currently live in a different state from my husband. And him and I have talked many times about him sharing his testimony. He is willing to do that at this point. We are not going to use his name, and I ask that anybody that knows us personally or knew us in the past and growing up, please not divulge his identity. He doesn't need to be harassed by any of the marijuana proponents like I am. He doesn't need his job threatened. And his courage to do this is remarkable. More and more people are starting to speak up, and we need to honor his story and what has happened to him, and the love for his family. So we're not going to refer to your. Make sure we don't use your name or our son's name. And thank you for doing this. So I'm going to start just by talking, and then I'll ask you questions. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. And I just want you to know, I just want you to verify that you are my husband, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And that you are willing for me to record this and publicize this?
Yes.
Okay. And the reason that you agreed to this is because of why?
Because the world needs to be educated.
Okay.
Because it can happen to us. It can happen to others.
Okay. Thank you. So just to give you a little history about my husband and I, we've been together since we were teenagers, and marijuana was part of our lives when we were teenagers. And I did not like it. It was causing me problems. And I remember, I think I was 16 and you were 18. It was causing you problems. I remember that. And I saw that. And I remember saying when you were like 18 that it's either the marijuana or me. And we actually broke up for a little time over that. And you decided not to use anymore, and we got back together and, progressed to our 20s. Got married and had our kids. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Fast forward to us living in Colorado with both our boys. The legalization of marijuana happened. I can say that I did not think that policy would affect our family. I felt that we had raised our boys well, we had educated them, and that was not going to be an issue in our family, especially from our past of what we experienced. How did you feel about it?
I agree.
Okay. So our son started using marijuana in the 8th grade, which was right after the legalization of marijuana, and we knew he was self-harming. We did not know he was using because the marijuana industry makes products in deceptive forms to disguise use. By his freshman year, it was very apparent he was coming home stoned. And then by February 2015, why don't you describe what you saw from him during that time? Because everybody's heard me talk about it.
Yeah, 2015.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that week that he was very sick and ended up in the hospital.
Gosh, I'll tell you, it tends to blend together with that. I can't give any special.
Well, not giving any details. He was paranoid.
He was afraid. He was talking to himself. He was schizophrenic. He was afraid all the time. He even could relate to a song about, he was constantly felt like he was drowning. He was always above his head, and he was his decision making. He was self-destructive behavior.
Now, he was not diagnosed with schizophrenia, so I want to clarify that, but that's just...
No, he wasn't, but he was communicating He was having a full-blown conversation with himself.
Okay. And then what I remember from that week, and I was in quite a bit of denial at that point, is that he was irrational, paranoid. He was inconsolable. I remember you and I sitting down with him and talking to him for hours, and him repeating the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, he was. He would fester.
Yeah.
He would constantly dwell on a certain subject that he was struggling, a certain topic as such that he was struggling with. And so we would try to help him, give him advice and ease his suffering. And he seemed to accept it. But then just like, see, I have anxiety disorder too as well. I know exactly what and it broke my heart. Because he would just, and then after he felt content of it, he would walk away. But he would still fester. And so it was still just, and so he would come back again and again and again. That, trying to work out this one problem.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
And then the one night, it was a Friday night, and he was out of control, and he was violent towards our younger son. And that night, our son tried to take his life. Now, you saw the signs that night. I was in a lot of denial. You had even woken me up and said, this happened. And I said, no, it didn't happen. And by the next morning, the signs were all there when I saw the vomit in his room. And he got hospitalized. During that same time, could you describe the incident in the bathroom that you were talking to me about earlier today? When you walked in the bathroom, what was he doing?
Yeah, he was communicating to himself in the mirror. He was talking. I didn't understand all of, it was like he was hearing somebody. And he was having a full-blown conversation, and he said, yes, I'll do it, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, and that's the tail part of it. That was the beginning when I walked up to the door of the restroom, and then he was looking in the mirror, and he goes, yes, I'll kill them. I'll kill them when I sleep. I'm going to kill them when I sleep. I'm going to kill them when I sleep. I'm going to kill them when I sleep.
Okay.
And I said, Tom, I'm sorry. I said, you can't talk like that. That's wrong. And it just happened.
Okay. I appreciate your courage talking about that incident. And then we're just going to fast forward to, more problems. We did get better at times, and we would go back into the cycle of this. And so we were all experiencing a lot of trauma, and we were all just trying to figure things out and do what's best for the family. We were working as a team, and then one day you were reading some articles about marijuana, and what were those articles saying?
Yeah, it was kind of a news app on my phone, and they were talking about how the positive sides of medical marijuana. It's really helping out the veterans coming home with post-traumatic stress disorder. It was helping out the veterans who suffer from anxiety and from a large variety of pain. And at that time, with everything that was going on in our lives, I was having panic attacks, just extreme panic attacks. I didn't know when to go to work or defend my family. I didn't know what to do. I was constantly freaking out. And so, unfortunately, I had a habit since I was younger of self-medicating because my childhood was bad. So I self-medicated early. With that, instead of going to see the doctor, I also need to report that I've had bad experiences with prescription drugs. It is a challenge to try to find a prescription drug that works for you, works well with you. And I chose the easy way out. I chose to self-medicate, and it was a freaked me out. It just really emphasized panic attacks, and I was hooked. I was sold anything to relieve the pain. So I tried it.
Okay, hold on one second. I just want to make sure we're still recording.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Go ahead. So
this is the new strain. This is the new stuff. This isn't the stuff that we grew up on.
right.
It's more potent. And I thought that, and foolish me, I thought that it would, that it was for, they were telling the truth that it could help with, in the medical field. I mean, they were finding ways it could help cancer patients with their pain, a wide variety of other, help with pain and other spectrums of the medical field. I thought so I was impressed. I'm like, okay, this isn't the stuff that I grew up on. Maybe this could help.
Right. Well, and a lot of people. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Describe going into the marijuana shops. What did you say to them when you decided
So
to?
I went to the farthest one from my house because I didn't want to be a burden to my family. Walked in, showed ID, went to the back and told them, I have panic attacks. And they said, well, we could help you. I told them that I don't want to be stoned. I want to be able to function. I have a job that's very important to me, and I don't want to have any problems with. So they set me up with this new type of marijuana, and it's called a hybrid marijuana. It gives you the effects that helps with panic attacks, and at the same time you're able to still problem solve and function in life. They said it was very, I got the best that they had to offer. It was very potent. They said, do not drive. Try one hit and see how it works for you. And that was it.
Do you remember what the potency level was that they recommended to you?
It was in the mid. It was 20. What I remember was 24.
24% THC.
Yeah, 24% THC. And I had tried THC level up in the 30s, in the low 30s, but that was rare. It was rarely in.
Okay.
I usually got 25% or higher.
And then you described to me that taking a hit of that marijuana numbed you up and took away the panic attacks.
Immediately. It immediately did. It was an absolute blessing. It immediately took the pain away.
So then you were thinking, this is wonderful. I'm going to be able to use this and deal with the panics I'm having, the anxiety I'm having, and continue on. And then fast forward, what did you start to notice about yourself?
So, weeks into this, I was using it moderately because I didn't want to affect my job or my family. I'm self-medicating. I already know it's not a good idea, but at the same time, I'm finding relief. I'm thinking this is an absolute blessing, and I can do this because I was still functioning. I was still performing at the level that I wanted with my job, and everything was okay at the time. Then the more I realized there was some kind of cloud forming in my mind, and it was a fogginess. I realized, and it happened a lot when I started having withdrawal symptoms. So this marijuana was so potent that one hit would last me literally hours, 2, 3, 4 hours. It was impressive. But then the withdrawal was horrible, absolutely horrible. I'm sorry, this is very hard.
It's okay. Take your time.
So, I noticed immediately that it started affecting my anxiety. The panic attacks would come back, and that fueled my depression, and then I would fall into a deep, dark place into my depression. I was withdrawn.
What kind of thoughts were you having?
So I was suffering from delusional thinking. I don't know if it was schizophrenia or not, but I was having problems with anger control. I would have conversations in my mind that you and I were having. Sorry, let me put that. I was having conversations by myself. You and I were having those conversations, but you weren't there. I was having a full-blown conversation with you, and you weren't even there. And it was an argument, and you weren't even there to stand, to explain anything. It was all just my delusional thinking, and then it would step into an argument when we finally met. When we finally come together, I'm thinking that you were there the whole time at the conversation, and we would begin to have an argument. It was bad. It was really bad. And so, with that aside, I started having problems with more problems with my depression. Everybody was dealing with our life's challenges at the time in their own way. We weren't really talking. We were some of us were isolating ourselves and just trying to get through. So I felt really down. The panic attacks were still there, and they're still happening because of other reasons now. Childhood emotion that resurfaced, and I was not even ready for that. I was going through a very rough time. So then I started thinking about suicide, and I would ponder, and I would plan, and I had the perfect plan. I knew exactly what I was going to do. And do you want to talk about that?
You don't need to talk about you can just talk about what you're comfortable with. You don't have to give any details. What you're doing is a very courageous thing to speak up about this. When you went into the marijuana shop, did they tell you that marijuana would increase your depression and anxiety and possibly bring suicidal thoughts?
No, they never said anything like that. They told me that this might help me, and be careful. Don't try.
Okay, and then do you feel marijuana cause those problems? Do you feel marijuana cause?
Yes, I do. Wholeheartedly, absolutely. Instead of communicating, I became withdrawn and a recluse, and depression became worse. My communication skills were, I didn't know what to say. I think I even felt ashamed because, these are all emotions that I was feeling inside and not even communicating at all with anybody. And I wasn't even aware that other people were watching. My family was watching me, and they would make these comments about my behavior, and it never registered. It's like I didn't understand delusional thinking. I didn't understand. I was just trying to solve a problem, and exactly what I told my children when they were younger, the problem got worse instead of better. I was a fool, and I thought, medical marijuana, okay, it's different, and I was duped. This is stronger than anything that I've ever tried, and I went the wrong direction. I should have not been self-medicated. I should have talked to a psychiatrist, and etc.
And you were not on any medication prior to your marijuana use?
No,
but
I wasn't.
To this day, you're working with doctors to find the right type of medication because your depression can get pretty severe still.
Yes, it has gotten, with everything, with the trauma in our family, it was very bad, and I had to take that step. I had to take that first step for self-help, and everything, communicating with my doctor, communicating with the counselors, communicating with my psychiatrist now. I'm on the right medication, and I feel it's amazing. It's an absolute blessing.
I'm glad you're feeling better. And you described to me how you would just take one hit of marijuana every once in a while in the beginning, and then towards the end of your use, you were doing 3 or 4 hits a day. Is that correct?
That is correct. That was good. I wouldn't, but these are the times when, see, I had triggers in the house, and those triggers are what fueled my anxiety. I was constantly waiting for the floor to be taken out from underneath me, because it always is. Right. It was always taken out from underneath me, and I didn't know what to do. I was dealing with my job, and that can be a very stressful, could be very stressful experiences there, and then dealing with stressful situations in my personal life. And I had no balance, I had no support, and because we were dealing with our situations in our own way, I wasn't communicating, and it just went bad.
And I saw the changes in you, and I was coddling you, I was protecting you, I was enabling you, yeah, and I didn't know you were using until you got hurt at work. And because you kept a big secret, but I would say to the public, you would come home from work and just hang your head low and just sit there, and I would wonder what's wrong with you. I know our family was in crisis for a very long time, but when I found out you were using, it all made sense to me. Because
I wasn't using Monday through Friday. I wasn't using it all because my job, I didn't want to lose my job over this. Right. I didn't know what to do. But when I was at home on the weekends, the triggers were there. And I would use to get through my day.
Yeah.
To stop the panic attacks, so I could be part of my family, so I could be with my family.
I really appreciate you, sharing that. And we are legally married still, but we're separated, and we're trying to co-parent our kids, and our focus has always been our kids and the health of our family. So you admitting what the decisions you made and the effects it had on you, and talking about it like this means a lot to me, and I appreciate that. I just have like 1 or 2 more questions for you. What is your what do you think the legalization of marijuana is benefiting Colorado?
I do not have enough information to come to a conclusion about that. I don't know.
Do you feel that marijuana is harmful?
Absolutely. It is downright dangerous, especially to the ones who are susceptible to the other drugs that are combined into the marijuana. I mean, they're having bad experiences, horrible experiences, and they own to it. And, that's one of the reasons why I'm speaking up, because if this can happen to us, it can happen to anybody. It was fast. It happened fast. I just made one stupid choice, and it just was a spiral back down.
And we saw it affect our son tremendously, and to this day our son is well. We need to make that clear. He is not using, he is well, he still deals with anxiety. That was there prior to his use, but there is no suicidal, homicidal behaviors, no violence or anything from him right now. He's a normal kid growing up and, making the normal mistakes of life. So we need to make that clear that that's why we know marijuana affected him in tremendous ways. And then we have more proof with you. And so I really appreciate you doing this today. And any time you can tell me to take this video down. I just want you to know that too. And we just ask the viewers who are watching this video that my husband and I did this because, we're not screaming and yelling at each other. We've had our ups and downs. We are separated, but we do care about our family and we do care about the world. And that's how we have gotten to this point. We have been together our whole lives since we were teenagers. We have 2 beautiful children and 2 beautiful dogs. And this has been very difficult. And I'm getting emotional now, but I really appreciate you having the courage, because there's so many people that want to speak up, and it's very difficult to speak up publicly. So thank you. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. For you.